Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Scream 2. Scream 2 came out 1 year directly after Scream 1. It came out in 1997. It came out the same year I Know What You Did Last Summer came out. It's still, once again, written by Kevin Williamson and directed by Wes Craven. May you rest in peace. And just like it took 1 year to make, now the survivors are 1 year after the events of the first movie. Sydney is now in college along with Randy. Ironically, Randy is going to the same school, college that she is going to. Why? Because he is still like crushing on her and stuff. Randy is a little different in this. He's less geeky, nerdy comedic relief, and he's more hipster, slightly emo-ish, but mostly hipster comic relief. He dresses like a really skinny clothes, greens and browns, tight clothes, skinny clothes. Well, tight clothes. What do you want to call them? Tight clothes, skinny browns. He's very much the hipster type now. So like Sydney is trying to like cope with her life. She has a new boyfriend named Derek. She is slightly more paranoid. Before she'll answer the phone, she'll look at the caller ID. Caller ID was becoming very big at that time. I remember when it started coming out and people used to answer the phone and saying, "Oh, hey," by such and such name. People used to get irritated by that and they started blocking their numbers. It also made prank phone calling very hard. I had to stop doing that. So, like, Sydney now has a new hairstyle. It remains with her from the second and third movie. I very much like this hairstyle. Courtney Cox also had another hairstyle because she wanted something similar to, like, the Sydney character and like what was going on with Rachel on Friends. It was a very cute, like bob type hairstyle with these red streaks. And so the cast from the first movie that survived are now all in the second. Dewey is no longer a cop because he has nerve damage from getting like stabbed, and he has like a limp when he walks. Gail is still a reporter and still trying to like make it big. So when in the beginning of the movie, this movie also does something different. It introduces black characters. The first movie had not one single black character in it. They got called out for it, so they tried to improve with the second movie, but the black characters aren't really in the movie for all that long. You have Jada Pinkett Smith, who I'm starting to lose a lot of respect for. Like, I know Will Smith is not perfect, but my God, why are they still together? Anyway, she is in the opening of the movie with major attitude. She gets killed in the beginning of the movie, similar to how Drew Barrymore did. She is that famous person who gets killed. Her boyfriend, I forget his name. I think he was on ER, maybe. I hope I'm not getting him confused with the other black dude. Look, I know, as a black man myself, I know not every black person looked the same. But the dude looks very similar to the black guy from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. They just look too similar. I keep forgetting who's who. So anyway, I guess that's my racist moment. I'm a shameful black man. So anyway, they are the two that die in the first movie. We see straight up that this movie is going to have two killers because they're both in the restroom pretending to pee. And they kill her boyfriend and they kill her in front of everybody. The reason why everybody was okay with them killing her is because of the events of the first movie, this has now led something called the Stab books, written by Gail Weathers. She has become a book author now. And her book got turned into a movie. And so in the beginning of like the movie, a bunch of like people at the movie theater watching Stab. They're all dressed as Ghostface. They all have their fake green little knives and stuff. And so when they see Maureen getting stabbed over and over by the killer, They assume it's fake until they see blood coming from her and she's screaming. The scream is so iconic 'cause it's right in front of the movie screen. So this is when people stop and they realize, oh crap, this is real. And then she dies in front of everybody. So it was a very powerful opening. And the first opening was very scary. But this one was just like otherworldly, man. It was just like a true sequel type opening. And with this sequel, it had more characters. Sydney at school is now best friends with Haley. Haley is the other black character in the movie. She barely shows up. She's only there to play the best friend. So she pops in and out the movie. She has no real significance to the movie other than being Sydney's best friend, who will eventually die in the movie and stuff. But and this movie also does the black people die first because two black people die in the beginning of this movie. So and then it gets worse in the third movie because there's a black guy who barely shows up and then he dies at the end of the movie. But then there's another black character I forgot about, Joel, the cameraman and stuff. But he just pops in and out the movie and he's just there to be Gail's like assistant and he's there for comedic relief and stuff. The TV show was no better. They had people of color constantly just being friends to the white people and dating the white people, and the people of color kept dying in the TV show while the main cast full of white people got to live. That's why they changed things up in the season 3 because it's like an all black cast with one white girl, one I think Hispanic dude, or Asian dude, and one dude who's half black, half probably like Indian, something like that. So they had to change it up because there was no diversity in the Scream franchise. So yeah, so now the 5th movie coming out has when the 4th movie came out, there was no diversity. There wasn't a single person of color except for the black cop. And of course, he dies in the movie. So now with the 5th movie, there's diversity all around. So with the 2nd movie, so like I said before, she's very paranoid. She looks at the numbers. She now has a boyfriend named Derek. He's played by Jerry O'Connell. Jerry O'Connell is very famous for being in the show Sliders and this other movie that I've never seen. I just never seen it, but it's a very famous movie. Look it up. Anyway, so Stand By Me. Is it Stand By Me? I don't know. Anyway, so and he is not the kid from the Goonies. Just because he was big back then, it does not mean he's the kid from the Goonies. He hates being compared to that dude. Anyway, so just like with Scream 1, we have like a person who's very sketchy, Mickey, who you assume right off the bat is the killer. And so we know there's 2 killers in like the movie. There are these 2 sorority girls. And they constantly just pop in and out the movie in the most mysterious ways, especially when people get killed. And so Sydney, they want her to join their sorority. She really doesn't want to. This was interesting. When I saw this movie, and I saw how college was like, how like it was presented and stuff, I'm just like, oh, this is gonna get me prepared for college and stuff. And it kind of did. The sorority fraternity people suck. You live in a college dorm. My college dorm was not as nice as this. The college I went to was not as cool looking as this. They go to the best locations for these colleges, The frat party was kind of like theirs and theirs. Kind of boring, kind of not. Sarah Michelle Gellar is in this. She plays C.C. Cooper. This was like the second time I ever it was kind of cool because she was in I Know What You Did Last Summer. That don't make no sense. Wait, hold up. If this came out in 1997... and I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in the same year, man, she was pulling double duty on that and on Buffy. But she looks different in this movie than what she did in I Know What You Did Last Summer. So anyway, what I really loved about this movie, they amped up everything. And so much to the point where, yeah, you guess who the first killer is, but you can't really guess who the second killer is. Randy still displays the rules of a sequel horror movie this time, but it's different from that of the trailer, which really bummed me out. But him and Dewey, they have scenes together. Randy, he pops in and out. There wasn't that much Randy in this movie, just like there wasn't that much in the first one. And then what makes it really cool and bad at the same time is like when Gail shows up, Dewey's not really happy to see her. They had like a love thing going on in the first one. It kind of fizzled out. Her and Dewey are doing detective work, trying to figure out who is like the killer. And so like Randy and Gail and Dewey get caught by the killer. They're trying to figure out who it is. Now at this point in time, everybody has cell phones in the world. And so it's really hard to try and figure out who it is. So they're running around campus trying to look for everybody with a cell phone. And so Randy, they all get separated. Randy's all by himself talking to the killer. He's egging the killer on as the killer is egging him back on. Then he has one of the best moments ever when he starts like making fun of like Billy Loomis. This for some reason really eggs on the killer. And so the killer grabs Randy out of nowhere, out the news truck. And the killer kills the crap out of like Randy. Some of it's on screen, the rest of it's off, but you really don't get to see it. And so they open the door. He is just cut up. Gail screams, and now Randy is gone. This has been one of the most diverse, divisive things in the fandom. A lot of people felt Randy should have lived towards the end, or he should have been killed off at the end. Not kill him off at like halfway into like the movie, and he barely shows up. So, you know, the killer's doing his thing. It's chasing after like so many people. It chases after Sydney at one point in time. And it's all like, remember me, Sydney, it's showtime. And it's all, you know, it's like, and all this other stuff. And so she's at the point where she's trying to be like tough. All like, oh yeah, you want me, you come and get me. And he's all like, I'm right here. She was not expecting him to be in the room with her. And so Derek gets hurt. Dewey assumes that Derek might be the killer. Derek assumes that Dewey might be the killer. So nobody knows who the killer is. So everybody's pointing the blame at everybody else. It's getting to the point where Sydney now needs protection. The sheriff of the campus, he gets some detectives to like pretty much babysit Julie. At this point in time, Cotton Weary has showed back up, and he wants to be famous. So he's constantly stalking Sydney on campus, trying to get her to do like TV deals and tell this side of the story to get millions of dollars. He's very annoying in this, and then you assume he might be the killer because of how aggressive he is. There's a very annoying news lady who named Deborah Salt. She keeps pissing off Gail left and right. And at one point in time, Sydney hallucinates and thinks she sees the killer and everything. It's to the point where Derek gets kidnapped. We assume it might be the killer, but no, it's frat boys. They tie him up and everything, and they pour booze down his throat. It's getting to the point where Cece gets killed on campus. In a very dramatic way, she gets stabbed in the back. She gets thrown out the window. I very much like Sarah Michelle Gellar's performance in this. It was really good, and I love the outfit she was wearing. And I used to have a huge crush on her back in the day. And this the outfit she was wearing was just like awesome, you know what I'm saying? And so like, and her hair was so cute in this, and so she gets killed. I'm like, man, she got killed, and I know what you did last summer. She gets killed in this. I just can't win. So after her killing, they decide to get Sydney off campus. Haley goes with her because that's her best friend and stuff. They meet up with the killer as they're driving off campus, and then he kills both the detectives. And it's a very bone-chilling scene where the killer was driving the car. He is incapacitated. Both the detectives are dead. The girls have to get out the cop car. They can't get out through their way because they're wedged up against something. They have to crawl through the front, crawl over the killer, and get out. Sydney is able to do it. It was one of the most scariest things ever because you think, okay, the killer is going to wake up at some point. Then Haley does it. She is reluctant to do it, but then she does it. As they're trying to run away, Sydney's all like, you know what? She wants to know who it is. So she goes back. Haley tells her, don't go back. This is how you get killed. And she's like, no, she wants this to end. If they can know who the killer is, they can go to the cops and tell that person. They go back. The killer is now gone. the killer jumps out and it kills Haley. Sydney takes off running back to the campus. The killer has now set up this elaborate trap. A little too elaborate, but whatever. They're playing around with the theater stuff. In comes Derek. He's been crucified by the frat boys. And so Sydney wakes him up and everything. And so here comes the killer in the costumes, all like, you really want to trust your boyfriend, Sydney? Remember Billy Loomis and everything? You trusted him and he was the killer. You know, history repeats twice. The big reveal is Mickey. Duh. We knew that. And so he shoots Derek in the chest. And then he starts having this huge like monologue about like how he likes being a killer and how he's gonna get away with everything. He wants people to know he is the killer because he wants to go to the trial. Unlike Billy and all them, he wants to be exposed. He wants the exposure and all this stuff. Now let's get to Gale and Dewey. I forgot about them. So they're doing detective stuff. They're running around trying to find the tapes. They figure Joel might have the killer on the videotapes because he records everything. As they're reviewing the tapes, one of the killers is there. And the killer is chasing them. Dewey ends up getting stabbed mercifully with blood pouring all down like his mouth and all this other stuff. Gale gets away. Now we're back to Sydney. So after Mickey reveals himself, he reveals his accomplice. And cause he's all like, Sydney, I bet you didn't see this coming. And here comes Deborah Salt, the news lady. First comes, ah, crap. First comes Gale. And so Sydney's all like, Gale, like I kind of figured it would be you, but it's not Gale. Deborah Salt is behind her with the gun. And Sydney looks at Deborah and she's all like, wait, Mrs. Loomis, is that you? And Mickey's all like, Billy's mother. I bet you didn't see that coming. So yeah, Billy's mom is the second killer. She is pissed because Sydney and Gale killed her son and everything. Now I know what you're thinking. How in the world didn't nobody know that was Billy's mom? Like Sydney knows what Billy's mom looks like. Dewey knows that. Dewey, this is what's so interesting. Billy's mom never made contact with either Billy or Sydney throughout the entire movie. The only person she had contact with was Gale, and they've never met in person. But Gale has said she has seen pictures of her, so she didn't know it was her because back then she was heavy set, but she lost a lot of weight and cut her hair and everything. And hair does make people look different. And losing weight also too, because it makes sometimes your face and everything looks different. So they shoot Gale, she shoots Mickey, talking about how Mickey was an idiot and all this other stuff. And she tells like Sydney how your mother ruined my life, how she ruined my marriage. And then Sydney tells her, well, you abandoned your son, like you ain't no better. So then they fight it out in a huge climactic way that's very like flashy and very cool. And then so she ends up like killing her, shooting her in the head. Mickey comes back from like the dead, rises up in a cool climactic way. And then she shoots, they both shoot like Gale and Sydney, they both shoot the crap out of like Mickey. It's a cool way and stuff. Like it was so awesome. There's no way they can like replicate that. But I forgot, Cotton Weary shows back up when Billy's mom and Sydney are fighting, and so we don't know which side he is on. So they both trying to convince him, like, you know, to be on their side. He eventually takes Sydney's side because she agrees to go on like a talk show and make lots of money with him. And so, you know, that ends, and Dewey is still alive once again, and Gale has decided she's gonna be by Dewey's side and everything. Funny, because this is when like they fell in love with each other and got married in real life, the two stars. But David Arquette just revealed that Courtney hated him in the second movie. But somehow she ended up marrying him and having a kid, and they ended up divorcing and everything. So maybe she still should have hated him. But then if she did that, she would never had a kid. So maybe it turned out for the best. You know what I'm saying? So the movie ends, and it ends in a very cool like way. We see Sydney just walking away because this causes now Sydney for the third movie to become super paranoid where she can't trust nobody now. And so like she has lost all her friends. The only family she has left is her dad. Dewey's the only person still alive, but barely hanging on. And it's just like she goes in seclusion and everything. I think the second movie is very well written. It ups the ante by like 100 and everything from the first movie. But then that third movie came out. Lord Jesus have mercy. Now wasn't that spooky? Alright, well I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.